don't think we have enough of that. I think there's still a lot in the game where, it's self-serving and with agendas that really don't benefit, the athletes and the environment as a whole.
Yeah, no, thank you. I could go on, and we'll get into that as well. Yeah. But I really want our audience, and like I said, I really appreciate you saying that, and it does mean a lot because those are great times and something I continue to look back on, and it brings a smile to my face to know that we shared something like that for sure. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that.
So a little bit about me. So yeah, as you said, I did. I was born and raised in Portugal. Mm-hmm. I lived there till I came to the States right before turning 18. I found playing in the streets in Lisbon. Mm-hmm. It was. I never had a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Myself and my friends, any technical ability or anything that we learned was something that we thought we invented.
Yeah.
You'd be in the streets, use your imagination, pretend that you're playing in a stadium with thousands of people. I lived in a street that was pretty steep, at a pretty nice incline. So we played up and down the street.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of auto shops with like big wide garage type of doors.
Yeah.
So those were the goals, and we'd play up and down the street. Always if you're going uphill, you're always looking for the second half because then you get to go downhill. But it was a blast, and was really the times where I learned the most.
Yeah.
About just the game. Right, not necessarily coaching, but just growing as a player, my relationship with the ball, my creativity, because I had to use my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And we think we were inventing moves. We thought we invented the step over. We thought we invented scissors.
Yeah.
And then we realized everybody else was doing it too. So it was good times. I mean, I have fond memories. I still have friends from back then that I stay connected with. Thank you. Thankful for social media, where it has some issues, but definitely has its benefits.
That's true.
But so that's kind of how it all started. Then I started playing futsal, which is huge in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really play on an 11v11 team till I was 13. Mm-hmm. 12 or 13 years old.
Mm-hmm. So
up until then, it was just playing in the streets, playing at school. It not something I'm proud of. I would advise, but a lot of my playing was done going to school and not going to class and staying outside and playing. Don't advise that, but not even really possible to do that here in this country. It's a little bit different, the system.
Yeah.
But that just just gives you a little bit of a picture of what my passion for the game was and continues to be. Obviously, just shifted from playing to coaching.
Yeah.
From there, I was able to get into the Atlético Academy, which is one of the small third division clubs in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And I am left-footed or left-handed. My right foot is hardly even good to stand on. For anybody who knows me knows that's true. And but the left foot was pretty good. So it gave me the opportunity to then shift into the Benfica Academy.
Wow.
Did that for a little bit, and then just not to get into a whole long story, but at 15 I started living by myself, so things changed pretty dramatically, and so I ended up dropping out of school, going to work. Soccer sort of was not part of my life for a while,
mm-hmm.
Which eventually led to me coming to the U.S.
Yeah,
which was initially just to come and finish high school and go back, obviously. It's been now October 2nd was 24 years that I've been in this country. October 3rd, I should say.
Wow.
And,
congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you. And, so then, came to the States to finish high school. So joined high school and didn't speak a word of English. But thank goodness I went to Silma High School where there's a large Hispanic community, so a lot of Spanish-speaking people, which I didn't really speak Spanish either, but it's so close to the Portuguese that I was able to pick it up rather quickly.
Yeah.
So it helped me with being able to communicate. Joined the soccer team, had a blast. I remember when I first, and it's interesting because coming from Portugal, obviously it's a soccer country, right? Soccer is like, other than the Catholic religion, soccer is like the next biggest.
Yeah, it's true.
So I, coming from Portugal to the States, there was this perception in my mind that no one here really knew how to play soccer.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was going to be a superstar in high school. And I found that there was, the high school team was really good. There were a lot of really good players. And I think when I first came around, I think they probably expected me to be a superstar of some sort as well. And I think that might have been a little bit disappointed. I think I was pretty good, but I was, I was talented, skillful, but extremely undisciplined.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. So It was fun times, made good friends. We won games, but learned a lot about being part of a team, about appreciating the value that was already here in terms of quality in the game that I didn't realize existed. So that's sort of that was my opportunity to start getting involved with the game here in the States. I actually did, my first year of high school, I decided to take the GED, because I was a little bit, a year or two older than most. So socially, I felt a little out of place. So I wanted to just do the GED and just get out of high school.
Get out, yeah.
So I took the GED, passed it, was fine. But then, I really wanted to continue to play. So I ended up staying in high school and also getting a high school diploma. So I'm probably one of the rare people that have a GED and a high school diploma.
That's right, Manny.
Overachiever.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's skipping class to go play soccer.
Exactly, yeah. Big change there. So I stayed, played a couple years of summer high school. After that, I played at LA Mission College. So one of the first coaches that here in this country that actually really, had a pretty big influence on me in terms of as a player, and just as who I am as a coach now. Kind of helped me start to see things from a different perspective, and kind of the foundation for it, which was Adolfo, who you obviously I'm sure you know well. And then once I was done at Mission, I went back and started coaching at Selma High School.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was coaching the girls' team, and that was just something that was just starting. But then there was some changes on the boys' side of the game, and they asked me to help. Someone who was my history was there, Mr. Nahar, and he took over the boys soccer team, and he asked me to help. And he was a former Marine, and he was a disciplinarian.
Yeah.
He had played the game, but maybe not at a level where he felt that he was going to be able to offer everything they probably needed from a soccer standpoint. And to be completely honest, neither did I. I knew the game as a player. I knew nothing about coaching. So he asked me to help him, and so we kind of took on that task together. And his goal was just to make the team disciplined, because the year before they had been kicked off of the LA Watts tournament because of being too rowdy. So he just wanted to make sure that that kind of stuff wasn't going to happen anymore. And then for me, I was like, well, we want to win everything.
Yeah.
We want to go be champions.
Yeah. So
start on this journey, and year one, we went 1-13. I wanted to quit.
Wow.
I was like, okay, this is not for me. I can't do this. I'm too competitive. And he kind of talked me off the ledge and said, hey, Rome wasn't built in one day. Give it time. Mm-hmm. He taught me a little bit to look at some of the positives. There was more discipline, there was more commitment, there was more structure.
Yeah.
So, you just got to give it time for some of those things to started to translate into soccer. So year 2, we finished 500, went 10-10. That was our first year in the playoffs. Ended up beating Manny, which they were like number 2 in the seeding, and we were like 31.
Wow.
We went to Benning and beat them, and left Benning with cars chasing us, throwing bottles and rocks at our bus.
Wow.
It was quite an experience. But anyhow, so I ended up, as you know, coached at Silmar for a number of years and had the opportunity to coach against some great players, some great coaches. Obviously, you know, you and your brother at Kennedy with Fred Singer and the good teams at Waseda High with Julio, even before Julio, with Teddy. Not Teddy.
Terry.
Teddy's his brother.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, and many others out there. So I mean, that was really the foundation for my coaching, because it was over those years that I shifted from being a player to becoming a coach, to understanding that, you know, coaching is about people, is about inspiring people, is about teaching, is about finding positives and the strengths in people.
Yeah.
You know, so spent some years there, had the opportunity to go to Mission College, go back to Mission College as a coach, worked there with EB, who was a good friend of mine, and you know, we had some great times coaching there together, coached some great players there, you know, including your brother, and the likes of Emerson and Miller, who, you know, incredibly, we played together, and I had the opportunity to coach him, and you know, till this day, he's probably one of the best midfielders I ever had the opportunity to coach or play with.
Yeah.
You know, the likes of Emerson, who was like a special talent in person, and many others, Ivan Becerra, and, you know, we could go on and go on and on, right?
Yeah.
You know, from there, had the opportunity to go to Cal Poly Pomona and, you know, work with Paul Caligiuri. And that, you know, that was, you know, what a great opportunity for me, you know, to be able to work with someone who, you know, obviously played in the World Cup, who played such a big role in soccer in this country, and learn from him, right? And, you know, and along the way, every step, there's challenges, and that's part of life, that's part of everything we do, but that's also what makes us grow. So being able to go to Cal Poly, it was incredible, because, you know, I learned a lot from him. I learned from the challenges that we encountered along the way. Also, you know, it was part of, you know, beating Dominguez Hills. Was this the squad you were in, or was that the year before you, when we beat Dominguez Hills for the first time in like 9 years or something?
I think the year I was there, I remember at home, I believe we tied them. And then,
we tied them.
Yeah, and then the away game, they beat us like 4-0.
Okay.
But I remember how huge that was, at least when I was there, that we were playing them, and I didn't understand the as a player, because I didn't understand the rivalry, and I didn't understand how big it was, but it was a huge deal. You know, it was a huge deal. And I guess the Dominguez was to just smash on everyone. Everyone is like, like you had no chance every year against them, right? And so then that home game came around, and we're like, everyone was so pumped up. I was like, all right, this is gonna be fun, you know. And then I remember playing, and it was just an amazing atmosphere. And then I don't know if we tied 0-0, I don't know, but it was a great game. And we actually played against Kai Kamara as well.
Yes, he was their forward at the time. Yeah.
And I remember, I remember I was playing against their center mid. You know, he was pretty competitive, you know. But I remember I got him, and I megged him right in front of the bench, and everyone is going crazy. Everyone is just going crazy. And then I don't know what happened after that. But to me, I don't know, it's always been the highlight of my life, just megging people. Like, I would rather meg someone than score a goal. That's kind of sad.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, man.
Yeah. So then you were from there. Yeah. You were there how many years at Cal Poly Pomona?
I was there for 3 years.
Yeah.
And again, you know, along the journey, you know, for me, it was always also trying to figure out ways to maximize the opportunities I was afforded. So, so for me, learning a lot from Paul. I mean, till this day, we're friends. We were actually just exchanging texts a couple weeks ago. He's involved in youth soccer now, and he was recommending some players for me to evaluate. So building those relationships, learning a lot from him. But also I took the opportunity at the time to complete my my college education. So I earned my degree from Cal Poly Pomona.
Yeah. And I remember, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I remember that. I remember going to class as well. A few times I did go to class. I remember seeing you with the backpack, and I was like, what are you doing, man? He's like, oh, I'm going to school too. Like, I'm getting my education at the same time as I'm coaching and I'm working, right? At the same time I'm developing these players and helping them out, I'm also improving myself and getting my degree. And to me, that I still remember that to this day. I was like, man, that's inspiring, because you never think that you made it, and you never that you're okay just where you're at. You've always been that person, like, I know what's coming next, and I got to prepare myself, So I saw you taking those steps. I remember, and that's amazing. And then what happened? And you got your degree from there, right?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously being there was awesome. I loved it. Obviously it's my alma mater, so it always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
But also at the time, obviously I was coaching full time.
Yeah.
Going to school full time, and at the time I was already married with 2 kids.
Yeah.
And it was challenging because I would leave home early in the morning and get back really late at night.
Yeah.
So it got to a point after I got my degree that I realized that I had to make some changes because I wanted to see my family more. I wanted to to be able to be around my kids. So as we as I graduated, I ended up leaving Cal Poly, and at the same time a position opened at LA Mission College for a women's head coach.
Yeah.
So the timing was perfect. I went back and took that position. I took a job with LA Rampage. Started coaching. It's a club that doesn't exist anymore, but it was a small club that, again, came across some wonderful people that, helped me a lot along my journey and growing as a coach. I mean, the likes of, Tony Bruce and Hugh Donald, obviously the club's president, Stuart Cohen, Debbie Cohen. I mean, incredible people that did so much for others.
Yeah.
And inspired me to continue to see the value in trying to affect others' lives in a positive manner.
Yeah.
So I had a great experience at LA Rampage. For being a really small club, we had a ton of success with teams. There was a coach, Frankie Parada, that had a team that pretty much was winning everything. I was able to put together a couple of good girls teams who a lot of those players are still connected with me. Friends, one of them plays for me here at Oregon now.
Wow.
And so spent some time there. At LA Mission, I was there for 3-4 years, and a couple years with the girls, and then there was an opportunity to coach the men's team, and I made that transition. Coached them for the season, and at the beginning of our second season, I had the opportunity to go coach at UCLA, and
nice.
it was tough. It was really tough. I remember when I broke the news to the boys, I was a little bit emotional because as you know, Walter, I coach through relationships. I connect to people. I invest in people.
Yeah, you do.
And so to walk away from whether it's a U11 club team or a college team or it's never easy for me. And watch is just a job, and I think that's where sometimes people have it wrong. For me, it's not just a job. If it was just a job, I'd be doing something else that would earn me maybe a whole lot more money. For me, it's a passion, and it's something that really gives me fulfillment. And I always tell people I do what I do, part of it, because I never have that Monday morning feeling.
Yeah.
All these people be like, tomorrow's morning, gotta go back. It's Monday, gotta go back to work. I don't have a Monday morning feeling. I'm thankful for that. I'm grateful. I'm going to ride it as long as I can. And but I appreciate the fact that I'm able to do what I do. So So anyhow, it was a bit of a challenge to make that decision, but it was obviously an opportunity I couldn't turn down. So I went and made a transition and went to coach at UCLA with BJ Snow and Luis Lieberman and Jordan King, who's now they're all now. BJ was the head coach for the U17's national team. Now he coaches the under-23s and is the main scout for our full women's national team.
Wow.
Luis is now the head coach for University of San Diego, and Jordan King is the goalkeeper coach for the Chicago Red Stars that are playing the NWSL championship this weekend.
Yeah.
So again, I was fortunate along the way to interact and work with people that that were the best at what they do. And I tell you, Walter, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not particularly skilled or talented or I don't think I have any special qualities. But I work hard and I pay attention. And I try to take something from everyone and try to grow along the way. And so I've been lucky that along the way I came across a lot of good people. Mm-hmm. And people that are incredible at what they do.
Yeah.
And I think that's afforded me the opportunity to continue to grow. And somehow, I wake up and I find myself in places that when I first started at Soma High School, I would never imagine that I would have had the opportunity to interact and work in the places that I've had the opportunity to do so. Especially when my days at Soma High School, I tried to get a club job. And
yeah.
I could not get a club team.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I contacted different clubs. Some of these people are good friends of mine. I respect them, but for whatever reason, at the time, maybe I wasn't ready or whatever it may be. So today to be able to be doing what I'm doing around some of the people that I get to work with, I'm incredibly blessed to be able to do that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And what you said about working hard, and I feel like I know what you mean when it comes to that. Like we're talking about working hard, it seems like the harder we work, and quote unquote, the luckier you get, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So isn't that it's funny because people don't understand that. People think that at times people think just because connected. No, this person is friends with them. Yeah, you can be friends. You can have an acquaintance with someone, but what people don't understand is that, like, you gain the respect through your actions. You gain the respect from your work ethic. You gain the respect from the hours you put in off the field, like that the hours that people don't even see. You're studying. You're improving yourself. You're reading the right books. You're making the right connections, and you're learning about the game and about people in general. It's not just about soccer. If it's just about soccer, then I think you got it wrong.
Absolutely.
And that's amazing because you went from coaching a high school team where you went to high school to coaching at UCLA. Fast forwarding, you coached UCLA, right? And now those coaches that you were there with, now they're off doing even more impressive things, and fast forward, you are as well now. And then from UCLA, Manny, what happened? What was the journey from there? Because I know I don't want to cut you off or I don't want to spill the beans here for our listeners, but I want to continue to hear your story of how it's going into present day. So from UCLA, what you were part of the women's program, I assume there, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was there with BJ Snow, and eventually he left to take a head coaching job with the under-17 national team.
Mm-hmm.
And then a new staff came in, and they came in as a staff. So I moved on, and they ended up doing a great job. They ended up taking the team to a national championship, and it was great to see those girls play on that stage and win the first national championship there. Anyhow, so I moved on. I continued my job at LA Premier. I was at LA Premier for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And probably one of my greatest friends, Barry Ritson, is someone I met there. So when I came into the club was going through a big transition, and Barry and I worked together. Barry is the executive, continues to be the executive director of the club. I was the director on the girls' side of the club, and we worked together and took the club from a time where we weren't sure if the club was going to survive because of the big changes that were going on, and at the time the club was going through a legal dispute with Go Soccer League, to now being probably one of the strongest organizations in Southern California, if not the country, right?
Yeah.
And through that time, we went through a lot, ups and downs, and soccer and administrative and organizationally, but it was great. I grew a lot from that, learned a lot. I always, it's funny, I sometimes talking to my wife, because she gets to see behind the scenes how much I sometimes work. And I always tell her, if there's one guy I know works just as hard, if not harder than I do, is Barry. And I appreciate that. I appreciate people who work hard, who put it all in. There's sometimes people that are super talented, but don't put in the work. To me, sometimes that's disappointing. But people who are willing to put in the work are always going to outdo any sort of talent.
Absolutely.
And,
on and off the field.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so through the years, we developed a really strong bond, and I think that helped us be successful. We complemented each other well, and so after leaving UCLA, just continue to work my job at LA Premier, which I was already doing during my time at UCLA, and then a few opportunities came about to get back into the college game.
Yeah.
And the first few just weren't right. Obviously I have a family, 3 kids, my wife, and my wife was born and raised in Southern California, in the San Fernando Valley, to be precise. And it could not make a move just for any situation. It had to make sense, not just for me as a career, but it had to make sense for my kids' education, for the quality of life of the family, for my wife. So we did look at 3 or 4 opportunities, but they didn't really make sense at the time. So just kept doing what I was doing. So missed 1 season of college soccer, and then got a phone call from Coach Mertz here at Oregon, and we talked, had a really great chat. Obviously, having coached in the Pac-12 before, I knew Oregon is always known as a dark horse, is sort of like a sleeping giant. Yeah. And so for me, it was a great opportunity to be part of something special. To work with a coach that again, her pedigree. She started her career with the likes of April Heinrichs at UVA. She coached with Jill Ellis at UCLA. She coached at the University of Texas. Coached in 2 World Cups. Won a U20s World Cup.
Wow.
And I was okay. What an opportunity for me to work alongside someone like that, who I can learn from and contribute to her program, her mission, her vision. So from a career standpoint, it was a no-brainer. Then the next step was figuring out, how was it like for the family? How was it like for the kids' school and everything else? So we took a trip to Eugene, and I'm thankful that for the most part, when you take a trip for an interview for a job like this, you just travel on your own. Yeah, they were very open to me traveling with my wife and my youngest, because again, it was a family decision. I could come on my own and be great, but it'd be hard to make a decision without the wife being able to come. And so we came up and got to see Eugene, got to learn about the schools, got to interact with some people, and by the time we got on the plane going home, we looked at each other and we had a real positive feeling about Eugene and about the university, about the people that were a part of the program. So, in a matter of weeks, were able to iron out some of the details and took the job and then been here for a little bit over 3 years. It's my fourth season, and it's been fantastic.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And for you to have an opportunity like that, it's something that, to me, I look at, and I'm writing down notes here because I'm always learning. Because I'm a student. Before you become a teacher, you always got to be a student, and to tell you the truth, Manny, I'll always be your student, man. I'm still learning here, and I'm always taking notes from what you do and trying to keep up with everything that you're doing, and it's super impressive. And as you're starting to say that, it does make sense. It's for coaches listening and for families listening. It's extremely important for people to understand what it actually takes to make a huge decision like this, whether you're jumping from club to club, whether you're jumping from opportunity to opportunity, making sure you're patient and realizing that there is a fit, and you, seems like from what you say, you knew it was a good fit because you're going to go into an environment where you're going to only get better as a coach and as a person, learning from somebody so experienced. Coach Mertz, with such an extensive background and so many accolades as a coach and also as a human being, you could say, mentoring so many people and inspiring so many lives, that you knew it was going to be a good fit for you, not only at this point in your career, but also for your family, so that's huge because you took everything into account, from education for your kids, to the city in general, making sure there's a fit, to even speaking to your wife for getting out of her hometown, the Southern California, San Fernando Valley, to somewhere, I'm not sure if you guys even traveled to Eugene, Oregon before ever in your lives, but to make that leap of faith and know, as a family, this is the right thing, so that's excellent, and great, inspiring information that people need to learn from. So what are we, how, and sorry to cut you off, how are we doing on time?
We're doing okay.
Okay. So we can continue. Yeah. Great. Now, what are a few things that you picked up so far the last almost 4 years now from Coach Mertz? How has that experience so far been for you as a coach, developing your coaching game, learning from an expert like her?
Well, it's like every day is different, and that's kind of part of the challenge in coaching, right? You got to keep things fresh.
Yeah.
You don't want your athletes to get monotonous or bored, So it's finding a way to stay true and consistent with the message, with your style, with the type of environment you want, yet finding a way to every day have a different activity, having a different approach to how you deliver the message. It's almost like delivering the same message every day, but make it seem like it's a new message.
Yeah.
And she's fantastic at that, and so it's one of the things I'm learning and taking from that. Just watching her manage the program, and this is something that not only I'm learning from her, and I've learned from BJ and Paul and Evie, and they're all doing different. But I've picked up little things from each of them, just in terms of, because there's so many moving pieces when you're running a program. I mean, coaching on the field is sadly a small part of the job. But you're managing people, you're managing personalities, schedules, travel. At this level, we're involved in our players' nutrition. We're involved in our players' recovery. We have sports science, where we are able to track the distance they're running in a game. We're able to track the workload on their legs, and we manage how much they should train or how less they should train.
Yeah.
It goes to a level far beyond, what I was doing, for instance, at the club level.
Yeah.
Then you have, obviously, their education, and you're supporting that, and you're making sure they're They have time for their classes, for their tutoring, for their community service, for their student development piece, where they have internships, where they have mentors. So there's so many moving pieces that as a head coach you have to manage and delegate, and and so I'm learning a lot, learning how to delegate. I'm a hard worker. I'm someone who likes to roll up my sleeves and sometimes maybe take on too much. So being able to see some of these leaders knowing how to delegate and trust the people you hire to take charge of certain areas of the job. Those are things that are going to help me continue to progress in my career.
Absolutely. And as a professional, you need to make sure you continue to learn things like that, because we're only as good as we are, obviously, with the people around us, but also our strengths. We got to make sure we stick to our strengths, and work with people and build a team that is not good at your strengths. So if you're good at recruiting, you're going to stick to recruiting. You know what I mean? If you're good at, let's talk about on the field. If I'm a great defender, at times, you're going to push up, but your strength is defending. If you're a good striker, you have a great 9. At times you may have him or her defend, but their strength is at the 9. So you got to make sure you as a coach put them in the best strength, and us as coaches, we got to realize that as well, that the people around you need to be just as good, if not better, at their strengths than where you're at in your strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about complementing each other.
Yeah, exactly. And one theme that we've seen now going into this episode 5, is that coaches and players, or mainly coaches that we've discussed this with and hearing their stories, one way that they want to give back and do more is multiplying themselves, and now you're at a certain level when you've seen being a director of the girls at the Premier. What advice, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, Manny, but what advice, or how do you recommend coaches, directors, to multiply themselves? How can they improve themselves, impact more people by multiplying themselves? Have you seen some sort of formula or a way that you've seen works yourself, or have somebody else seen?
Well, like I told you, Walter, I don't think I'm any more special or more talented than anybody else. So I probably don't have all the answers, or probably not even many answers. But what has worked for me is shared leadership. What I mean by that is, a lot of times, whether it's in soccer or in the business world or corporate world or whatever world may be, a lot of times leaders feel like they have to have all the ideas, all the solutions, and give all the direction. And I think when you do that, you're sort of hindering the opportunity for someone to truly contribute.
True.
As you know, coaching is sort of like an art, right? It's not it's not an objective science where you have a formula and we all use the same formula. Because if we all did, everything would play the same way, and every game would be 0-0. So I think for me, what's worked is being able to find good people, and good people truly starts with character, investment, integrity, hard work, and then obviously identify what are the strengths, what can they bring to the table from a soccer standpoint. When you find those people, then you got to create an environment where they can flourish, and in order to do that, they have to have a voice. They have to feel like they can contribute. They have to feel like they can think outside the box. And if it's not perfect, that's all right, because guess what? I've made mistakes. You've made mistakes.
Yeah.
And we learn and grow from them. So if you want to control the environment to a point where there's no mistakes, there'll be no growth.
Yeah.
If you want to control the environment to the point where there's only your voice, the growth's only going to happen as much as you can grow. And you cannot grow faster than what 10, 12 people can grow.
Absolutely.
I think it was J. Paul Getty that said, I'd rather have 10% of 100 people's effort than 1% or 100% of one person's effort.
Yeah, very true.
So that
very
comes
true.
From a business standpoint, but it affects any world where you're managing a group of people. And I think that applies to coaching teams. Mm-hmm. In this country, I mean, and I think the game, how the current generation.
You're cutting out, Manny. Can you hear me? You're cutting out there, Manny. Hello, Manny. Manny, sorry guys, we're having some. There, you're cutting in and out. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
There you go. Okay, you're back. Sorry. You're going back to the current state of soccer here. I'm sorry. That's the last thing I heard.
Yeah. No, I was saying, we were seeing so much development and growth at the youth levels, which to a point that we didn't see for many years, which was technical players, creative players, not just technical and creative, but players that know when to apply the technique in a right creative situation. Yeah. Because we also have gone through a phase of, there's a lot of personal trainers and a lot of kids doing a lot of tricks, that don't really translate to the game because they're not learning in an environment where it actually applies to the game, but the growth is happening now at the youngest ages. But again, I think that only happens because coaches are allowing players the freedom to be creative, to express themselves, to solve the game a little bit differently. I remember when my earlier days of coaching, I wanted players to do things in an exact way.
Yeah.
And part of it was because of how I knew how to do it. And obviously over time I realized that they're not me. Maybe they can solve the same problem in a different way. So as my way of thinking started to shift, and instead of looking to control the players to affect the environment, I started to look to control the environment to affect the players. So instead of dictating what foot you're going to receive the ball with, I started to dictate that, okay, here's our objective. So a little bit of guided discovery, right?
Yeah.
The objective is to get the ball from here to there. Here's the number of players you have available to do that. Solve it. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see how many times they actually get to exactly what you wanted them to do without you telling them. And also how many times you learn that they can do it a different way that you didn't even think about.
Very true.
Would never happen if you don't take the time to allow them to express themselves. So I think that works with you as a coach with your team. It works with you as a director with your coaches, just like it works with CEOs of companies,
Yeah, that's excellent advice, because if you provide too much structure in any environment, that hinders creativity. That kind of pigeonholes people from getting to that next level, and maybe they show you something that you never knew they were capable of, either as a coach or maybe as a director of a club. You're like, well, maybe I didn't know this person can do this, or you know what, their strength is running clinics for your club, or their strength is in recruiting or in managing, and unless you really see or give them the opportunity and have them, flourish in a sense of a specific, you can say, dilemma, or you put them in a position where they're going to be forced to do something, you won't know. You really won't know. But that's excellent advice, and I'm here just learning. Like I said, I'm just learning, and it's amazing to hear these words, and I think people listening are going to get a lot of value off of that, when it comes to also, not only coaching, but also playing. Now, leading into that's great information. Leading into that, I want to know a little bit more about how you became one of the coaches for the national team, the U17 national team, right? Women's national team.
Yeah, I got involved with gosh, it was maybe about 3-4 months after I left UCLA. I went into my first camp with the under-17 national team, and that was, the cycle with Mallory Pugh and quite a few players that you see now at the college level. So I had my first camp, I think was July of, I want to say 2013. And, before that, I was working with some of the training centers, so just helping in whatever ways I could. I ended up taking over the role of liaison for the Los Angeles Training Center. So I got involved with the 7 teams. I was the assistant coach for BJ for that cycle. At the time, we didn't qualify for the World Cup that year, and we never lost a game, only conceded a couple of goals, but it just so happens that the goal we conceded was in a semifinal to tie the game, ended up losing in PKs.
Oh, man.
And because Costa Rica was hosting the World Cup, only 2 other CONCACAF teams could qualify. Ooh. So only the first and second place.
Oh,
so we missed the final because we lost in the semifinal. So it was a heartbreak. And then the following cycle of the U17s, I was already here at Oregon, so I took a role as an analyst. So I was fortunate so we qualified. I was fortunate to go to Jordan for the World Cup with the team, and it was an incredible experience. And because the World Cup did fall right in the middle of our college season, I could only go for a period of time. So I went for the group stage.
Yeah.
Obviously invaluable experience in terms of growth, in terms of learning, in terms of contributing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where obviously you're representing the country. You're representing 300 million people.
Yeah.
And, so it's a lot of responsibility. So as much as fun and a great experience it was, it also, came with a lot of hard work and some late nights and lots of collaboration. Scouting opponents, figuring out, the best lineups, the best matchups, figuring out, areas of opportunity to exploit, and figuring out what areas we need to strengthen on our end, figuring out schedules, training, recovery, figuring out a balance to be able to give the players the opportunity to get a break, to decompress. Working with a staff of, medical staff and athletic trainers and sports scientists. And I mean, incredible experience.
Wow.
So I got an opportunity to do that. And so over the years, I've now been able to do some work with U.S. Soccer as an assistant coach. I've done a lot of scouting, talent scouting and opponent scouting. So I've been able I traveled to Iceland to scout European qualifying. So to scout some of the European teams that could be potential opponents in a World Cup. I went to China to scout Asian qualifying. And those are, again, opportunities that allow me to grow, allow me to see the game from a different perspective, allowed me to look at some of the details of the game that, when I was younger, I would overlook. So now I'm still involved. I do some talent scouting. I'm a staff coach. So I was recently took a trip to England and Germany with the U20s national team. And I still work with the training centers here in Oregon. So in essence, I'm sort of like what you would call the utility player.
Yeah.
My primary job is obviously at the University of Oregon. But anytime that my schedule allows and there's a need, it's always an honor to be able to contribute, to the future of our national teams.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's a very, number one, very respectable. You could say title, you could say opportunity. You could so many words, but the word and the what I'm getting from what you're saying is it goes back to the same thing that you started when you first started, the work ethic, the desire, the hunger to improve yourself, to put yourself in positions like this of opportunity, and to still be called back again and again to work with. Now we're not working just with Silmar, right? High school, right? Going 1-13. Now we're talking about impacting the global game, impacting the whole nation when it comes to competing at the global stage. Like, you went literally from a small town in the northern part of the San Fernando Valley, East Valley, you could say, northern East Valley, to now recruiting and impacting a whole nation of soccer players. That's, to me, that's just, man, that's the ultimate for me. You know, hearing your story and just your work ethic to get there, your respect, you know, that you've gained through your actions, and obviously the quality that you're putting out there as a coach is just, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I honestly, from knowing you as a person, you know, I'm really proud to say that, you know, I'm continuing to learn, and just to have this conversation with you is huge for us, you know, and that's amazing. Mario, you want to say something?
Yes, Manny. I'm here in right next to Walter, just really truly getting even more inspired by you, by really listening to your journey, because as you know, life happens, and when we see each other from time to time, you know, like when we ran into each other at the convention, it was like we didn't skip a beat. You know, it was so much fun, but you really gave me huge nuggets to take home into our environment. And what you told me that I still, to this day, I preach to all our coaches and our staff to improve us, because the only way we're going to improve the game here in Southern California at the youth level is learning from, you know, our role models like you know, coming back and inspiring us from a distance. And one thing you told me that I take from, that I value to this day, and always since you told me that night, was create whatever environment you want to create. And whether it be structure, no structure, futsal, whatever it may be, you know, we're taking that here and really maxing it out as much as we can, and trying to teach our kids, but not only teach, but inspire kids that come from the area that we come from. And, you know, letting them know that soccer is not just in between the lines. It goes outside of the pitch as well, you know, with all the discipline, the hard work that gets you to the point wherever you want to be, wherever it is, wherever it may be. But you truly inspire a whole value over here. And we just want to say thank you for your time. And I'm out here just learning as much as I can, Manny. When I had you as a coach, I remember I always tell my players is, you know, certain coaches or certain people just inspire you to play, not only for the jersey, whatever you have, but for your coach or your teammate, you know, because you're the ones going in there. I remember one time I didn't even have gloves to train at Mission, and you bought me some gloves. And from that day, I worked hard. Like I was admired, but from that day it was on. I was like, wow, you bought me some finger saves. I remember you came to training. You're like, here, Mario. Man, after that, it was on, Coach Manny. I was truly motivated by that action. And from this day, I continued to do that for us here. I remember how inspired and motivated I was after that. And, you know, in our environment where kids don't have this, don't have that, you know, a pair of cleats, a shirt could go such a long way. And I'm out here just learning, so I'm gonna go back and let Walter take over again.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna enjoy this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Manny, I'm here listening, so I'm here.
Manny, amazing.
Let me tell you this.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you this. I mean, you know, I appreciate those words, you know, and I mean, for me, gosh, I mean, the journey has been incredible, right? I've been very fortunate. But truly, for me, you know, it's about seeing guys like you that I maybe have a fraction of one little tiny percentage of influence in you, and now you're affecting the game. Now you know, you have found your own drive and your dreams, and you're chasing them. And to me, that's really the ultimate. You know, Walter, you said the ultimate. You know, working with U.S. Soccer and being at the collegiate level and whatnot. And again, absolutely, what an incredible opportunity and experience. And, you know, I will continue to work hard to, you know, to make, you know, to continue to make that a reality. But, you know, for me, you know, my goal, my dream is to somehow be able to go back and influence, you know, the Selma high schools, the San Fernandos, the Pacoimas, the San Fernando Valley, because I can tell you, and you know this, I am not the smartest, the most talented, I'm not the best at anything coming out of the Valley. You know, maybe the only difference from me and Tom is I just didn't want to take no for an answer. I had a belief and I going after it. But my hope is that, you know, in the future, some of the talented guys and girls that I've coached or I've played with do not fall through the cracks like so many that have. Again, I'm not even close to being the most talented, the smartest guy coming out of the Valley. So to me, it's a shame. But to me, the goal is that in the future, maybe I can go back and, you know, speak at Selma or speak in a Valley and hopefully help, you know, some of the young talent coming through understand that no matter how bad the day is, the opportunity is always going to be there for them to put in the work and work themselves out of it and into something special. Absolutely.
No. And it would be so amazing to have you back and such an impactful journey you've had and giving back to your community. That's what it's about. Giving back to where you come from, where you grew up, where you went to high school with, and knowing what could be. You know, if somebody really gave a damn, you know what I mean? If somebody really gave a damn about these kids, this next generation, this community that people really neglect, you know, people like just literally look the other way, you know, when it comes to certain parts of towns, of cities, you know, and obviously we know why, but you know, it takes certain people, it takes a certain maybe generation, it takes a certain group of a team to make an impact. And you know, you just give people a chance, just like you did. You know, give somebody a chance. See what others don't see in them. You know, and that's part of being a coach. Is part of being a mentor. Is like you see things in kids that nobody else does. You know, whether you don't see it right, they're not going to see it right now. But you know, if this kid, this boy or girl, continues doing this in this type of environment, who knows what they could be? You don't even know what they're going to be. They don't even know what they're going to be. You know, but you know it's going to be something special. You know, but if they continue to do the things that, you know, that's in the realm where they live, you know the statistics, the probabilities of them not being a good person and getting out of that is much higher, you know, but it just takes a very special person like you say, and I can't wait for you to come back and do this, you know, whether it is here or how about not only impacting it locally, but doing it at an international level, you know, starting a nonprofit to actually do that impact, not only Sylmar, but other communities just like Sylmar throughout the United States, throughout the world. You know, that's real change, you know, or people listening get inspired to do something like that. You know, most people don't come from born with a silver spoon in their mouth. I know we didn't. Yeah. You know, so it does take a lot for you to say that, you know, that's just continues to inspire more and more people to really understand, like, never forget where you come from. You know, never forget what struggles you got to go through in order to get where you're at. But do we still have time for a few more questions? I just have a few more. Are we still good?
Yeah, maybe another five.
All right, 5. Perfect. All right, plenty of time. All right. So, thank you again for sharing that. So I want to know, who was your biggest role model? You know, someone you looked up to growing up and maybe still do to this day, so that people can understand that, you know, it's always got to learn from someone. Who's been your biggest role model?
Oh gosh. Well, in the game, I can't say I have one role model. I've been fortunate that I've worked with so many special people, and I've learned so much along the way from all of them. Right? Starting with Edna Hart, that was my history teacher and the first person to get me into coaching. You know, going through, you know, the likes of Paul and Evie and you know, BJ and Louise, and you know, having worked with Jill or April Heinrichs, and I mean, so many people. Kat here at Oregon. So I've been really, really fortunate that just a lot of mentors. Some of them don't even know they're my mentors, you know, and that I've learned from. But aside from that, I'd say my mother. I mean,
Wow.
my drive, my belief, my willingness to work hard, my willingness to not take no for an answer, my desire to always, find a solution, my belief that there's always something positive in every situation. Sometimes you just have to really look for it to find it. That absolutely comes from my mother. So definitely
Amazing. One thing, non-soccer related. I like to ask this question because you get kind of like the human element out of the other person, the guest. What would you be doing if soccer did not exist, Manny?
That's a good question. What would I be doing if soccer didn't exist?
I always say you'd probably invent it.
But, yeah, probably have to invent it. But I don't know. I probably, because when I think of myself as a coach, there's again the human component, the connecting with people, the trying to understand behaviors and what impacts behaviors and whatnot. So I don't know. Maybe I would be like in sports psychology or something along those lines. Maybe a teacher. I don't know.
Yeah, I could definitely see you as a teacher and definitely giving back. You're definitely a people person and someone that attracts you. People gravitate towards you. You could definitely see that. So lastly, I know we have about 2 minutes left, but if someone wants to connect with you, either through email or, social media, if you want to give that out, how can people connect with you and learn from you and maybe even possibly ask you questions, our audience that's listening? How can people connect with you and find more info about you?
Well, I'm on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at Emmanuel Martins. Emmanuel is my actual name, and I go by Manny. Yeah. So my Twitter handle is Emmanuel Martins. My email address, it's mmartins@uoregon.edu. Just a disclaimer, parents of potential recruits or even if it's not a child that we're recruiting, if it's a child of a recruitable age, we have some restrictions on being able to email back or communicate back.
Yeah.
But for coaches out there or anyone that may think that in some way, shape, or form I can be of help, I'm always happy to help and contribute because if I'm growing, it's because there was someone that was willing to help me.
Absolutely. And can you spell it's EMANUL Martins MARTINS on the Twitter handle, right?
EMANUEL, yes.
Got it, Martins. There you go, on Twitter. And then the email is mmartins@oregon.edu, correct?
At UOregon.
At UOregon. Got it.
Yes.
mmartins@uoregon. Got it. Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Manny, for your time and for your sage advice. Hearing your story, man, it just gets to know you even more. And I hope people are inspired, everybody that is following and listening here. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of our conversation and definitely reach out. He's a person of value and someone we continue to look up to. One of the reasons why we're doing this podcast is because of people like him. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. And we appreciate your time, Manny, and best of luck. Look forward to lots of success and wish you the best. Say hello to the family and to everybody up there. We can't wait to see you guys again.
Well, Walter, Mario, again, thank you for having me. It's great to connect. Again, I can't reiterate enough how much you guys inspire me back to continue to work hard and continue to grow and continue to find ways to impact the game. I'll continue to follow what you're doing, not just with your podcast, but I follow, your club on social media. I see you guys are growing, doing the right thing. So
thank you.
Keep going, keep giving back.
Thank you.
And please say hello to your dad.
Thank you. Yes, we'll do. All right, Manny.
Bye,
Thank you again.
Take care. Great day, sir. Bye-bye.
We talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you guys for following on the Facebook Live. we had some technical difficulties here with the Skype call and with Instagram, so we decided to go ahead and do this Facebook Live. So thank you guys for following. I hope you guys did receive some value. He was kind of short on time, so we had to kind of cut it shorter than normal. But if you guys do have questions, please reach out. He's a good friend. He's definitely somebody that, as you guys probably heard his story, he's somebody you guys can learn from in the game, especially if you're coming up, whether you're a parent, whether you're a coach, director, you're trying to get to that level. It's important to connect with people. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, is to make sure we give you guys some tools. You know, we're not the experts. We want to learn from the experts like Manny, like the rest of our guests in their strengths. You know, and that's how we get better, by surrounding ourselves with people that know more, you know, and that are doing impactful things in the soccer world. He went from literally Silmar, you know, coming from Portugal, came to Silmar, which some of you guys that are watching right now know where that's, maybe even live there. Excuse me, know somebody that lives there, you know, and he's now, you know, a scout for the U.S. national team, and he's assistant coach at Oregon. You know, the journey's just been amazing, and this is not going to stop. He's only going to get better, you know. And so, if you guys got inspired by his story and from what we're doing, please just let us know. Let us know if we can improve in something. What do you want to hear? What interviews do you want to see? Do you want to see more coaches interviews? Do you want to see more player parent interviews? Do you want to see more tactics? You know, we're looking to do it all when it comes to youth soccer. So please follow along and share this with anybody you might find this that might find this useful. We're really grateful for everybody watching, and this journey is only the beginning. So this is barely episode 5 of who knows how many. So I'm looking forward to everybody inspiring and get out there and improve the game one play at a time, one community at a time, and let's really make a difference. And thank you guys for watching. Better.